Hello everyone, I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney, and we're back to continue the Stardock v. Reich and Ford saga. As we saw in the last video, Paul Reich and Fred Ford are the developers of Star Control and Star Control 2, the Ur-Quan Masters. They claim copyright ownership to these games. When their publisher went bankrupt and sold off assets, Stardock bought the trademark to Star Control. They have developed a new game to sell within the franchise, Star Control Origins. They are now suing Reich and Ford for trademark infringement, saying Reich and Ford are unfairly profiting off the Star Control mark when marketing their competing game, Ghosts of the Precursors, billed as the true sequel to Star Control 2. Stardock also has issue with Reich and Ford releasing their second game as free and open source and profiting off the original sales of Star Control 1 and 2 on GOG. But, as we'll see, Reich and Ford have some allegations against Stardock of their own. Let's read more of Reich and Ford's countersuit to see what they have to say. In 2013, Atari filed for bankruptcy and put its assets up for auction, including the Star Control franchise consisting only of Star Control 3. Atari purportedly sold its Star Control assets to Stardock under a purchase agreement dated July 18, 2013. The purchase agreement defined the purchased assets as including the intellectual property identified on two schedules listed on 101A and 201B, and certain causes of action related to the intellectual property. Any other assets and properties of Atari were excluded from the purchased assets. The purchase agreement, filed with and approved by the bankruptcy court, a copy of which is attached here as Exhibit 5, does not include any Schedule 101A or Schedule 201B, and thus did not transfer any intellectual property rights or contract rights to Stardock. And yes, I too have many questions about that. I did take a look at the bankruptcy docket, and I do see that that exhibit does lack Schedules 101A and 201B, but it appears those schedules do exist elsewhere, so it may simply have been a mistake, and sometimes the courts let people correct simple mistakes like that. If everyone thought that those things were transferred, and everyone relied on those things as if they were true up till now, I don't think a judge is going to invalidate that. Stardock has submitted with its complaint purported schedules of the intellectual property encompassed in the purchased assets, which list the following intellectual property purportedly transferred: a trademark registration to Star Control and a copyright registration for Star Control 3. Stardock separately sent Reich and Ford a purported schedule of the contracts encompassed in the purchased assets, which lists Atari's digital distribution agreement with GOG, dated 3/1/2010, purportedly only for Star Control 3, and Accolade's license agreement with Reich, dated 10/7/88, only as to Star Control 3. Even if these schedules are authentic, Atari did not purport to sell, nor did it even own or have the right to sell any rights to Reich and Ford's Star Control games to Stardock, including Reich's pre-existing characters used in Star Control 3. Moreover, the 88 license agreement and Addendum Number 2 relating to Star Control 3 had terminated and expired over a decade earlier. Even if it could have been assigned, Reich never consented to it as required by paragraph 12.1 of the 88 license agreement. On July 22, 2013, Stardock's CEO, Brad Wardell, introduced himself to Reich via email and said he had acquired Atari's rights to Star Control and wanted to create a new Star Control game existing within the universe that Reich and Ford created. Wardell asked to use Reich and Ford's game, lore, and universe in exchange for a license agreement with royalties. He also asked if Reich and Ford would be interested and able to help with the new game. On July 23, 2013, Reich responded that he and Ford, A, would consider the request, B, stated that they personally owned the copyrights to Reich and Ford's Star Control games, and C, noted their and Atari's recent agreements with GOG to distribute the games. Wardell responded, "That is my reading of the agreement too." On July 24, 2013, Stardock announced its acquisition and planned to release a new game inspired by Star Control 2, but that it would not be a sequel to the classic Star Control games. Wardell admitted that Atari doesn't actually own the copyright on Star Control 1 and 2, so it's not like one could make a Star Control 2 HD or what have you without a license from Paul Reich. On July 30th, 2013, Wardell asked again for Reich and Ford to be involved in developing his new game and to license the Star Control 1 and 2 universe, aliens, lore, etc. from Reich and Ford. On August 6, 2013, Wardell asked again if Reich and Ford could collaborate on a new Star Control, and they responded the next day that they probably could not. Wardell then asked again, would you be interested in pursuing a license agreement for use of the Star Control 1 and 2 lore? He explained, we'd really like to set the new Star Control game with the aliens and lore that you previously created. On August 14, 2013, Wardell asked again, would you be interested in setting up a licensing agreement to use your existing Star Control 1 and 2 lore and aliens? On September 16, 2013, Reich and Ford responded that they would not participate in his new game because, among other things, Fred and I are just not comfortable handing over our world to be developed by others. We've been discussing this for almost 20 years, and we've always regarded a return to Star Control as our dream project, something we'd work on as soon as we found the opportunity. I know this will be a disappointment for you and your team, but Fred and I still have a Star Control plan, and we're not ready to give it up yet. Thanks so much for your interest and appreciation of our work. Later that day, Wardell acknowledged their response, and over the next 6 weeks tried instead to sell Reich and Ford the Star Control IP that he thought he had acquired from Atari. On October 29, 2013, Reich and Ford responded that we aren't interested in the Star Control assets you purchased from Atari, thanks for the offer though. In summation, Reich and Ford rejected Stardock's requests to A. collaborate on a new Star Control game, B. license Reich and Ford Star Control games or any portion thereof for use in such a new game, and or C. sell them the Star Control IP reportedly purchased from Atari. This is a very different story than the one Stardock is telling. According to Reich and Ford, the bankruptcy court doesn't have a record of the transfer of intellectual property rights. And Wardell openly acknowledges Reich and Ford's copyright and the limited extent of Stardock's IP. A court could see that as a kind of knowing infringement on the part of Wardell if he made all these allegations having admitted these things 5 years ago. We're looking forward to seeing how the court handles that one. From 2014 to 2017, there were numerous emails in attempt to negotiate a license. Notwithstanding the above, on January 3, 2014, Wardell gave an interview in which he made a series of false or misleading statements about connections between Stardock and Reich and Ford. For example, Wardell falsely stated that he had talked to Reich and Ford quite a bit and would be talking to Paul and Fred as we go forward about Stardock's new game, when in fact they had never spoken to Reich and Ford and wholly declined to work with Stardock on the game. Wardell misleadingly suggested that Reich and Ford simply could not be officially involved because of their existing jobs, when in fact they actually declined any involvement because they did not want Stardock or anyone else to further develop their world, as they had always planned to work on it themselves in the future. Wardell claimed that the new Star Control game would be on a new continuity and be a prequel to Star Control 2 to allow Reich and Ford to continue the main Star Control plot in the future. However, he also admitted that the new game would include one or more of the ships from Reich and Ford's Star Control games, as well as the multiplayer ship-to-ship combat feature called Super Melee from Star Control 2. He also indicated that the classic Star Control games would remain on sale at GOG.com. Later on, January 3, 2014, Wardell emailed Reich and Ford to clarify that the new Star Control will not make use of the lore, history, and aliens from Star Control 1 and 2 without your consent. However, he expressed that they might be willing to allow certain characters from Reich and Ford Star Control games to appear in the new game and offered to pay royalties for licensing their IP from the classic Star Control games. Wardell sent another email later that day reiterating that the new Star Control game will not be making use of any of the Star Control 1 and 2 IP, which in this case means alien names, designs, lore, art, music, and ship designs without your express permission. Over the next few months, Wardell asked Reich and Ford for a license agreement several more times, always acknowledging that Reich and Ford owned the IP and their content would not be used without their permission. This included an in-person meeting in March and emails in September, October, and November of 2015. On December 3, 2015, Wardell emailed Reich and Ford and asked if they would be interested in licensing the alien races from Reich and Ford's Star Control games for another Stardock game called Galactic Civilizations 3. Reich and Ford later learned that Wardell had already borrowed heavily from Star Control 2 for the Galactic Civilizations game. Wardell previously described the backstory for Galactic Civilizations as follows. Quote, "I must admit I borrowed some concepts from Star Control 2. The precursors were not lifted from Babylon 5 or Stargate or whatever. They were inspired from Star Control 2. I always dreamed there'd be a Star Control 3 that would expand on who these precursors and the extra-dimensional beings. I have no idea what they had in mind, but I thought it was a very cool concept." He elsewhere admitted that using the in-game custom race creator, I have also made the Ur-Quan from Star Control. On July 28, 2017, Wardell asked Reich and Ford if, in light of the upcoming 25th anniversary of Star Control 2, they would do an interview regarding your work on Star Control 1 and 2, the Ur-Quan masters, past, present, and future of your universe. Wardell noted that Star Control Origins included the Super Melee feature from Star Control 2 and a ship designer that would enable players to construct ships from Reich and Ford's Star Control games, among other things. In fact, Wardell revealed previously that a ship from Reich and Ford's Star Control games, the Earthling Cruiser, had already been constructed within Galactic Civilizations 3. Reich and Ford later learned that many ships and alien races from Reich and Ford's Star Control games appeared in Galactic Civilizations. In the coming months, Wardell continued to affirm Reich and Ford's copyright by repeatedly requesting a licensing agreement. In September 2017, Wardell informed Reich and Ford that Stardock wanted to release the Super Melee beta in October and asked if they would mind the inclusion of some of their ships in exchange for some royalties. But Reich and Ford declined, saying they wanted their IP for an upcoming passion project. After declining to license the ships, Wardell responded that he already had the rights to the ships, and things soured soon after. Wardell responded later that day and claimed for the first time that Stardock already had a license to use Reich and Ford's IP under the 1988 license agreement, even though that agreement had terminated and expired in 2001. On October 6, 2017, Reich and Ford reiterated their plans to release a sequel to Star Control 2, the Ur-Quan Masters, and that, as we've said to you several times in the past years, we do not want Stardock to use any of our IP, and that remains our position today. Despite your suggestion below, you do not have a license to use our IP. All rights to use our work reverted to us long ago. You and Atari previously acknowledged the same. Further, time and again, you have asked for a new license notwithstanding our consistent rejections. Kindly do not use our IP in your game. If already added, please remove it before release. On October 6, 2017, Wardell responded admitting that there is no disagreement that you own the IP, and that you have always owned the IP and that continues to be our position. However, he argued that Stardock had publishing rights and licenses to the IP under the 88 license agreement. He also claimed that, as you have previously requested, we are not using your IP in Star Control Origins. Later that day, Wardell sent another email claiming that the 88 license agreement was still in effect because Stardock and Atari before them had been selling the products and paying royalties for many years. In fact, as noted above, neither Accolade nor Atari had sold the games or paid any royalties from about 2001 through 2011, so the 88 license agreement expired in 2001. The classic Star Control games were only sold after 2011 pursuant to new agreements between Reich and Ford and GOG, and between Atari and GOG. Wardell admitted again that Stardock does not contest your ownership of the underlying IP. I have stated on numerous occasions publicly that the Ur-Quan universe is owned by Paul Reich and Fred Ford. On October 7, 2017, Reich and Ford responded and pointed out that they had received no royalties for many years and therefore the 88 license agreement had expired. They also notified Wardell that his planned use of the Super Melee feature from Star Control 2 in Star Control Origins was not authorized and asked that it not be used. Wardell responded later that day, rejecting their requests and threatening litigation. According to Reich and Ford, Stardock retaliated against their refusal for a license by selling the original 3 Star Control games on Steam beginning in October 2017. They also offered the original Star Control games bundled with a pre-order of Star Control Origins on their website. As of March 27, 2018, these games are still available on their site. In November, Reich and Ford terminated their agreement with GOG to sell the Star Control games as Stardock was no longer sharing revenue with them. November was also when Star Control Origins beta was to be released, featuring characters, names, and designs from Star Control 1 and 2 without license. In December, Reich and Ford notified Steam that Stardock was selling the original Star Control games without permission, but Stardock issued a counter notification and Steam continues to sell the games. Reich and Ford also described the Ur-Quan Masters as their mark, since they released a version of that game with that title. Stardock has been using the Ur-Quan masters on their website to promote the new Star Control game. According to Stardock's website FAQ, though, they applied for an Ur-Quan Masters trademark. Now, the process of applying for a trademark does leave open the possibility that, if approved by the USPTO, people could oppose the trademark, like Rishan Ford, by simply filing a simple opposition with reasoning with the USPTO in a timely fashion. So that part will probably be seen once that becomes live. What I expect we'll see from a court in this is a bunch of sorting of all of this out. There will probably be discovery hearings and a summary judgment motion or cross-summary judgment motions and lots of declarations, and it'll be 300 documents long. Or maybe the parties will figure this out. I'm not sure. It's going to be complicated. This is going to only get more complicated from here. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning. This is all just the beginning, though, and we have yet to hear a court rule on the merits of this case. We will be following this case and will definitely issue an update video when there is something new to report. Thank you to the people who made this video possible, including Tactical Bra, who researched and wrote this entire story, as well as our sponsors on patreon.com/ljfrench. Our $50 plus supporters for March are DJ Gilcrease, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, The Godslain, Evie, Andy, Kyle Mudrock, John H. Anderson, Vera Mintain, and Sean McNamara. There are also over 200 $5 plus supporters scrolling on the screen, as well as on the LED panel behind me. Your support means that we can bring you more and more detailed videos with higher production quality and timely releases. It also means that we aren't reliant on YouTube's unpredictable ad revenue and community guidelines enforcement. Without you, much of this would not be possible. Thank you for all of your support. I am, of course, your favorite copyright attorney, Leonard French, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for helping us bring these stories to the lawful masses. Have a great week.